Just how well is the reserve list stacking up in 2025? Well, welcome back, Magic fans. This is the reserve list top 10. These are the hottest selling cards on the reserve list, and we're about to begin, so don't go anywhere. Let's get this party started. Welcome back, I am mtgnews, and thanks again for finding me in the nacho cheese universe that we call YouTube. Now, before we start today's video, a reminder, if you are shopping for any of these amazing cards you see here today, don't forget that if you're using TCG Player, I do have an affiliate link found in the description of all my videos. Click that link, do your shopping, the channel gets a 3.5% kickback. Now, let's get into the top 10. Number 9 this week is Mox Diamond. This is the 4th week that this card has continued to show up in strong sales. This week we have 44 sales, or $34,056 of total sales action. The copies that are being sold are lightly played and near mint, which means these are near the top of the tippy top for the price range we've seen for this card in the last 120 days. Now, let's not forget that this card is being dominated mainly inside of Commander circles, where this card regularly shows up. There are lots of reasons to want to have a Mox Diamond, and one of them is the ability to discard a land card, which of course goes into your graveyard. This can be mana ramp for later on that a lot of people tend to forget about. It's an amazing thing to have happen because it can be any land card. Epic times ahead of us. Now let's go ahead though, because this was number 10. Let's go on to number 9 and you'll see what's happening on this reserve list as we go through the video. Now, Academy Rector. This is from Urza's Destiny. The average price is $72, and again, we see moderately played copies moving in this market, or $3,552 of sales action for the 49 copies that were regularly sold this week. When we look at these cards, the foil one, which is the super difficult, hard to find, like it costs so much money, that one almost never sells, okay? They are hard to find in good quantity. They are really hard to find actually for sale, and if you do get one, well, they tend to hold on to this. Is kind of a collector investor type thing. But the Academy Rector is a forecasting cost 1-2. When it goes to the graveyard, you can remove it from the game, but if you do, you search your library for any enchantment card and put it into play. I want you to think about enchantment cards in 2025. Think about how powerful some of these new summon cards are, like Behemoth, and you'll see why this card is so fanatically powerful to get out, get going, and into a commander deck. Amazing card to own, and the price is actually really reasonable. Let's go ahead and take a look at our next card, and you'll see more of this sales action we're talking about. This is Replenish, again, Urza's Destiny. A foil, super hard to come by, and actually, although it's not listed today, 2 of them did sell this week in moderately played condition. But we had 55 sales, or $7,100 of sales action, and Replenish did hit the all-time high this year of $155 before it kind of trended down a bit. Now, every time this card seems to go down, we do see some sales, but it had a lot more action this week. We had a lot more movement that's been about 3 months in the making. As this card slowly drifted down, it looks like some players have been waiting for it to hit a certain level. That's why we saw so many heavily played and moderately played copies selling. They're all going to Commander. That's where these cards are ending up. And because of that, we know the action is there for this card, if not the price point. Players are timing things as best they can to get cards like this at the most reasonable prices possible. But to think the reserve list is dead would be a mistake. The sales are higher than they've been in the last couple of years. Our next card this week is Fastbond. The card that is basically banned everywhere had 56 sales, or $1,632 of total sales action. Now, this card is banned everywhere, okay? I know people who use it in Commander because they're just ignoring every rule and doing what they want to do, which I totally get and actually endorse. It's a casual format. I also have players who play these things in Vintage Legacy. I know casual formats like just 60-card deck play at the kitchen table definitely sees play for this thing, and many people opine the day that this card finally becomes unbanned in Commander and brought back into the fold. Now, of course, this card is epically powerful, but as one of 99 cards, I agree this thing should should be unbanned. Let's see how the market reacts. Let's see how the gameplay changes. Give this card a chance to see it come back alive. I don't see any harm in doing so. They could always ban it again later if it's too powerful. But man, it'd be a lot of fun to see what happens if it was. Now our next card, we're diving over to alliances. We have Soldevi Excavations. This card has an average price of $9.66 a copy. Most of the copies selling are everything under the sun, from heavily played to near mint, $627.90 of sales action. Now this card over the years has moved up a lot, and it's because of this channel particularly, but the card is not useless. As you can see, when we start looking at cards like this, they're kind of under that thing of like, it's a utility card, it does have gameplay, and it can be useful, but it's not a super expensive card. When we look at Soldevi Excavations, by the way, epic artwork, I've always loved it, and we look at what Liz Danforth has put together for us on this thing, you'll see that this card says, when Soldevi Excavation comes into play, sacrifice an untapped island or bury Soldevi Excavations. Tap to add one colorless and one blue to your mana pool, but you can also pay one and tap it to look at the top card of your library. You may put that card on the bottom. This thing basically scries for one. It's an insanely powerful card. Never forget that. In Commander, it can help you so much. Our next card is Wheel of Fortune, Revised Edition. This thing here comes in at number 5 this week with 82 sales, a real all-time high for the last year. $28,000 of total sales action. People buying this card are looking for heavily played. That's what the wish lists say. But overall, mostly lightly played and moderately played copies with some near mint and even a couple of BGS copies sold this week. Now, the average for this thing is $347.78. People are hoping to pay around the $250, $260 mark, but it's not becoming a regular thing right now. Wheel of Fortune is 1 red and 2 other for a sorcery, and this sorcery does state that all players must discard their hands and draw 7 new cards. Under the right circumstance, this is a game-ending effect. A lot of Commander decks love to have this card played, and of course, every format I ever played in as a kid, we always had Wheel of Fortunes in there, sometimes way too many before the rules changed, and we realized we weren't allowed to have that many copies inside of a deck. An amazing card, a nostalgic take of the past, and it's epically powerful. Our next card is Lake of the Dead from Alliances. This thing comes in with an average price of $90.69. It's actually gone down a bit in price, and that may explain why this thing's at 101 sales, or $9,159 of sales action. This thing gets found in all kinds of Eldrazi, Tron, anything that wants to pump out massive amounts of mana, especially with ways of recycling your land nowadays, means you can sack the land every turn basically with things like the Ice Till Explorer. Bringing cards back from your graveyard means you can keep expanding and expanding your mana pool. Now, Lake of the Dead has some of the best artwork Magic the Gathering's ever produced, in my opinion. It says when Lake of the Dead comes into play, sacrifice a swamp, or you bury the Lake of the Dead. Now, this thing can add 1 black to your mana pool, of course, but you can sacrifice a swamp to add 4 black mana to your mana pool, and that's where things get spicy. That's where the herbs and spices, they just start, they taste so good, you just can't help yourself. It's finger-licking good stuff there. The Lake of the Dead is never going anywhere. An epic card that should probably be $300 to $500, but it's not. Now, our next card is Dystopia. Alliances again. This thing I thought was just going to drop off the map within a week. It really hasn't. It comes in at number 3 this week with 113 sales. This thing is actually holding above the $25 price mark. This thing's got $3,900 of sales action. I am just gobsmacked that this thing has managed to hold on even a week or two. When we look at the average price at $34.95 and you look at the overall price being above the 40 mark and now dipping down, you can see it's actually starting to level out at the new price. I think this thing's going to hold another 30 days. I thought it was going to dip right away. Now I think it's going to be a slow meandering back down to where it was. It has the cumulative upkeep, of course, of 1 life during each player's upkeep. If that player controls any green or white permanents, he or she sacrifices a green or white permanent. So you're kind of nuking stuff. I get it. Now, of course, if you're playing this in a mono black deck, it gets kind of spicy really quick, okay? It's a lot of fun, but people are going to hate you. Understand that the hate is going to be like just laser focused on you. Now let's go ahead and take a look at our number 2 card this week, and we are diving in and taking a look at Weatherlight. This is Null Rod. We talked about it earlier in the week on how reserveless cards are overall very undervalued right now. 235 sales is $30,000 of total sales action. But that is 235 copies that moved in the market in a single week. This is a phenomenal number. But as you can see, this is not the number 1 card. The overall price is staying very strong. Players are looking for basically near mint copies at this price range. We do have some moderately played copies and lightly played copies selling, but it looks like a lot of people seem to be gang piling up on this card right now. Players cannot play any artifact abilities requiring an activation cost. And it's a 2 casting cost generic, which means this thing fits into any deck you want to build. Old artifacts like this are just so overpowered because that's what they were supposed to represent. An overwhelming force of magic contained within a single item that was artifacts. They just don't make them like they used to, do you, Wizards of the Coast? Let's take a look at number 1 this week. It is Second Chance, Urza's Legacy. This thing's average price is $15 plus. You can see it had 558 sales, or $8,922.42. I have used this card numerous times in deck builds because I love the idea of what this card represents. When you take a closer look at the price range of the card, you can see it just shot up through the roof, okay? The average price jumped up from being like a couple of dollars all the way up. And this thing's been through a couple of buyouts this year, but this one was a lot stronger. This buyout is being felt, and that felt means it is spiking. When you look at the card, it says during your upkeep, if you have 5 or less life, you sacrifice it, and then you get to take an extra turn. There are ways of engineering your life, and there are ways of bringing this enchantment back for infinite turns that you should never forget can happen. When this card was $1 or $2, people should have been buying it. If they didn't, oh well. This card will probably come back down, but at the same time, they never drop back down to where they were after they've gone through this many sales. Keep that stuff in mind, guys. Now let's talk about the market this week. I'm not sure what everyone is expecting of the reserve list, but I think it's getting pretty spicy, and I think it's happening a lot faster than many scalpers and investors thought it was going to. When we look at the market and where we see these sales, they are higher, stronger, and wider ranging than we could have expected. Most people think of the reserve list as like a weekly thing. It's got a couple of sales, a couple of cards move, a couple of people are buying stuff. The reserve list has been on a bit of a tear, probably for about 100 days now. We had a really short week, that one, 4 months ago? 3 months ago. It was a really short week. It just had really lousy sales. But ever since that point, it has really been picking up steam. Now, the sales represented this week, starting at number 10. We saw Mox Diamond at 44 sales. So that means that was the lowest point of sales this week, which means I can't encapsulate the other sales, but I want to give honorable mention out to Sliver Queen. That was 31 sales. That's a lot of money. Next would have been Underground Sea, 30 sales. Taiga, 30 sales. Savannah, 26. Bayou, 24. Sorry, I gotta look at a little side screen here. Then we go on to Scrubland, Badlands. There's some lower sales, but we are talking huge money. We can't say that, oh, Elephant Graveyard. Can't really find copies right now. Don't know what happened. No real sales to record, but people looking for it and not on wish lists. People actually asking the store, can you keep your eye out for an Elephant Graveyard? I'd like to get a play set of 4. That doesn't happen. So where are we? What has been happening? And why are players looking now? A lot of these cards are very undervalued by today's standards of where the market is. When we look at new sets, they cost so much money that reserve list cards are starting to look a little bit too enticing. Some people got that hungry hippo look saying, hey man, I was going to buy 6 of those boxes. That's 5 or 6 dual lands of this with enough money left over to get a play set of something like, Elephant Graveyard for $400 or $500, $600. That's some crazy money I can put out and just not bother buying some new collector box, which, the prices are going to go down. Guys, it's insane, but this is what people are doing. The funny thing is, it's not being talked about in wider circles yet, and I don't know why. I guess I can't really state why or why not. I just think that people don't want to hear it. I don't think the market's ready to hear what's actually happening. I think it freaks people out to think that some of these cards might start going back up to the next level. To going back to being, wow, I want to have some of these things because I know they're so rare, so difficult to collect, and I just can't get my hands on them. This is a crazy time. I love it. I get to report on it and talk to you guys. But will it continue into the new year? Will we see this all through December? What will Boxing Day be like? Black Friday? Cyber Monday? Guys, crazy stuff. Have an awesome one. Welcome back to the end of the video. This is where we get a chance to thank all the amazing viewers of this channel. My patrons, my YouTube membership members. Without them, we would not exist as a channel to this point. So thank you again for being supporters of my channel. We'll see you all tomorrow. People don't want to hear it. It is that simple. Abolish the reserve list. The reserve list is overrated. Wizards of the Coast has got to do away with it. Yeah, because you want to get hold of the cards because you don't own them. You don't have any. I understand that. I understand that frustration because there's cards I want on the reserve list that I can't afford either. But it ain't going nowhere. So Wizards has to find some kind of workaround to make it better. To find some way to get new players enticed into collecting and investing into the long term. Do I think they're doing it okay so far? It's not bad. These serialized cards are holding up better than people realize. All the shattered glass, halo, confetti, foil stuff, it's all doing well. But when you see new boxes being double what some of these older boxes were within the same 10-year time span, and a player looks and says, do I want to spend $300 on a box of Spider-Man or get a Taiga? I'll get the Taiga. Do I want to spend $3,500 getting 6 collector boxes? Could be some awesome stuff, but I know I could buy a Mox Pearl. And people will argue saying, yeah, but you can't play that Mox Pearl anywhere. Says who? Says you and your play group? You and your pod? My friends play weekly. It's a game. Play with them. Have fun. Play with it. Enjoy the game. Once you start getting to old school cards, I'm sorry, it's a whole different world. For those of us who grew up in that era and played it and opened the packs, it is just every day a Mox Man story time. And they would never end. Because it was epic times every day. Guys, enjoy this game. It's a lot of fun. Ramble in the jamble! See you guys later. Woo! Woo! Great sales.